What is going on, NBA fans? It's that time of year where rumors are running rampant across the NBA. And the one that's the most interesting to me is the Sacramento Kings trading for the 33-year-old Paul George. Sacramento was mentioned with teams like Milwaukee, Miami, and New York as possibly having interest in trading for the 8-time All-Star. And it's hard to determine if these rumors around this time of year are legit. But according to Howard Beck, he says, and I quote, "I think Paul George is certainly available." So Sacramento is coming off of the franchise's best season in 16 years. They finished third in the Western Conference. They took the defending champions to 7 games in the first round. And this is all behind Coach of the Year, Mike Brown, and behind their 2 All-Stars, Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. And they're expected to take a step from being the Cinderella team in the NBA to being a championship contender. So the idea of adding a player like Paul George to this roster is really interesting. So at first glance, Paul George being added to this team feels like Sacramento adding the final perfect puzzle piece to what they're trying to build. Reason being, it's no secret that the Kings were atrocious on the defensive end. They finished bottom 5 in the NBA in defensive rating. And Paul George is a 4-time all-defensive winner. Adding him to the team would automatically bolster the wing on-ball and off-ball defense and would help them tremendously in that area. And offensively, they're adding one of the best ISO scorers in the NBA, a guy that averages around 24 points per game and shoots a career 38% from 3. And when you think about it, Paul George alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, those 3 are scary. That is a scary big 3. And if you think about it, they would be arguably the best trio in the NBA. Yes, arguably better than what they've built in Phoenix. And the opportunity to trade for a player like Paul George, a perennial all-NBA, top 10 in the league talent, does not come often at all. So you really got to think about it. And if you're a Sacramento Kings fan, you have to be happy with how Monte McNair and Wes Wilcox and the whole front office have been so aggressive in pursuing players like Paul George. And they've been rumored to almost every name that gets put on the trade market. And what Monte McNair always says in his press conferences is be aggressive, yet disciplined when the time comes. And so if you're following that narrative, Sacramento has to ask themselves, with all the things that I've said about how he'd be a great fit, all of that, should we trade for Paul George? And there are concerns. The first concern would be Paul George's health, and that's a major one. Last season, he only played 56 games. The season before that, he only played 31 games. And you got to keep in mind that he's 33. His body doesn't heal the same way it did 10 years ago, like a 23-year-old player's body heals. You can't just turn around from, the minor tweaks or, maybe serious injuries. It takes longer for these guys to come back. Sacramento does have an incredible medical staff. Last season, they were, I think they had the least amount of injuries across the NBA. And I think you have to credit the medical staff with that. So Paul George being in Sacramento would be a good fit as far as medical, but still some of these things you can't control, no matter how good the medical staff is. And if this dude is battling injury, you look at his contract with that, he'll be making just south of $50 million when he's 35 years old in the year 2025. And if, leading up to that point, he's battling injuries, only playing 50 games per year, that's going to be one of the worst contracts in the NBA if he can't be healthy. And that's something that if you're going to be disciplined, you have to look at. Another concern I have would be how much would it take for Sacramento to acquire Paul George? If you look at Sacramento's roster, you have to look at Fox. He's untouchable. Domantas is untouchable. And I'm not going to say Keegan is untouchable, but Keegan Murray is untouchable. So that leaves, you have Kayvon Huerter, you have Kevin Huerter, you have Malik Monk, Davion Mitchell, and you have future first-round draft picks as pieces that you can move. They're all, young assets, young good players, and then you have draft picks. And when you look at the Clippers, they are not gonna just blow it up for a bunch of youth and picks. That's not where they're at. They still have Kawhi Leonard on the roster. They still have a very good roster. So they're not looking to blow it up and start a rebuild. So you would have to find a team that is looking to do that and has win now players that they can trade to the Clippers, and we can give. It would be a 3-team trade. So you have to find a partner like that. So a team that has been in the rumor mill that I think could fall under that umbrella would be the Toronto Raptors. The rumors of OG and Siakam have since died down a little bit, but honestly, in the NBA, you never know what's going on, and next thing that we can hear is a trade happens for one of those guys. So Toronto's at a point right now where they have to decide a direction. Do you want to go and try and win a championship, or do you want to rebuild, retool around Scotty Barnes, which is where, honestly, OG holds a ton of value right now, and Pascal Siakam holds a ton of value. If I'm Toronto, that's the route I'm going, and because I believe in Scotty. I think Scotty is going to be a franchise player. That's beside the point. So Toronto could fall under that umbrella where they have win now guys and they would want youth. So they're a perfect trade partner in this hypothetical trade. So the trade idea would be the Clippers. They're looking to retool around Kawhi. The Paul George-Kawhi combo has not worked. So they're looking to retool around that. They would receive Malik Monk from Sacramento, and they would also receive OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors would receive Davion Mitchell and 2 future unprotected firsts from Sacramento. And finally, the Sacramento Kings would acquire Paul George. Do the Raptors do this? I don't know. Do the Clippers do this? I don't know. Do the Kings do this? I don't know. If you are Sacramento, would you do this trade? I'm genuinely super curious to hear what you guys say. Let us know in the comments. Also, check out our page for more content like this. Subscribe, like, all of that. We'll catch you guys next video.